again. Welcome to another episode of Prep Rally from the Pueblo Chieftain. I'm Jeff Bersch. I'm joined today by Jeff Letofsky. We're going to talk about prep sports, obviously. The season's starting to wind down. We've had boys tennis and boys golf have ended. State softballs this week. Volleyball, cross country, gymnastics, and football will be closing soon. I was just doing the math today on football. There's only 3 weeks of the regular season left, which is very hard to believe. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff to talk a little bit about state softball this weekend.
Yeah, we have two teams that are going from Pueblo in state softball. Last week was the regionals and a couple upsets, and mainly Pueblo West. They were the number 2 seed overall in the entire field, and they were knocked out along with East and South. So we have two teams going to state Friday and Saturday at Aurora Sports Park. Pueblo Central will be represented. This is their second year in a row they've gone. And they've had some pretty good success over the years. In 2011, I think they reached the semifinals, and they have a team that's capable of doing that again with really a pitcher called Taylor Pugh is her senior year, and she really does it all for the Wildcats. She pitches and she leads the team in hitting. She's hit a bunch of home runs, and the question about Wildcats is that they're young. They only have 3 seniors and really a lot of underclassmen. So we'll see how they react at such a pressure-packed event. But they do draw Air Academy in the first round. They have a chance to get by them. And then if they get past them, they have probably Erie or Pueblo County. Pueblo County plays Erie. Erie's been a Pueblo killer over the years. In the last, I think, 4 years, Erie has knocked out 5 Pueblo teams. So they have a chance to do it, to up that number to 7. But Rio Sanchez, who has killed Pueblo, is gone finally from Erie. So there's an opportunity here that Pueblo can finally break the jinx of the Rio Sanchez jinx and the Erie jinx. Erie's obviously a very good team. So Pueblo County does draw Erie. Pueblo County really was sort of a surprise to get to this point. It's been over 10 years since they've been in the state tournament in the final 16. But this is a team that's even younger than Central. They have 1 senior, so there's a really good good experience for them to go up there and see what they can do at this stage and try to be strong and then maybe use that for experience for next year. Valor Christian, the defending champ. We say that in probably almost every sport, it seems like, but they have their pitcher back, and softball's all about pitching, so we'll see what happens up there. But we're excited to watch the Pueblo team, see how they do. Hopefully they can get to Saturday. That's been a real difficulty for the Pueblo teams probably in the last 4 or 5 years, is to get past the first 2 rounds and get to Saturday, which is the semifinals.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Jeff, how surprised were you with, we sent 5 teams up there to only get 2 to state. Yeah. How surprised were you, South and Pueblo West failed to get there?
Well, South really had, they started out 10-0. They really surprised, even their coach. And of course, we wrote the story when they were 10-0, and we always say, well, the Chieftain jinx once in a while hits, but they had some struggles down the stretch. Their pitcher really sort of she had some difficulties finding the zone and really. And their team was young too, so they're going to be back and they'll be strong. But the Pueblo West one is the one that really surprised me because they had a lot of returning people, and they had some people that and a great pitcher in Jade Garbiso, probably one of the top 2 or 3 pitchers in the state. So that really surprised me. So, but we do have 2 teams going up, and we're not getting blank, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, Pueblo West gave up a lot of runs and.
Yes, they did in the region, which is real, but they do have some young players in positions. They'd lost 3 seniors, and really when you're talking about softball, it's all about up the middle. And they had their center fielder left last year. She was a senior. They have a new second baseman. It was only a freshman, by the way. It was very good players. We have a lot of good freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, underclassmen in this town. For softball. So I look for softball. It's always been strong, and really the South Central League. This year we had 5 teams in the regionals. We almost pulled it out, and Centennial was like 4-15, and almost made the regionals because of their RPI, because playing in a strong league that always helps you. So. Softball's still strong here, and it will be. So I'm looking forward to see what Central and County can do.
Yeah, that'll be a fun weekend for you.
Yes, it will.
I'll be out at a couple football games this weekend. Thursday night, Centennial's at home. they got another tough game this week, and on Saturday or Friday night I'll be covering East again, and they're kind of an intriguing story right now. Obviously started 0-5, a tough schedule, a couple tough losses to 3-time defending state champs, but they're playing well right now, and they've kind of dominated the last 2 games, at least in the second half of those games, and have looked kind of the part of state champion type team, right, and doing some good things again. So I definitely think they're gonna make some noise here before all is said and done. They've got a tough game in a couple weeks up at Harrison that'll probably determine the South Central League champion and whether or not East gets that chance at defending their state title.
And that's all you want, Jeff, at this point in the season. You want to get in.
Yeah.
Because you started out slow and you're 0-5, even though you played a tough schedule, you have to, your RPI is not going to be very good, because you have to win. I mean, that's the bottom line. Even though you're playing a good schedule and the teams you play make your RPI good, you have to win games, and they knew that. They knew that they could. We talked about that. There was a possibility they could start 0-5. But if you sweep your league and you win your league and you get in, and that's all you can do. And if you get in, anything can happen from there. Because one I understand, 3A is pretty much wide open.
It's pretty.
4A is a little bit different. We got Pine Creek and Ponderosa who really are, and there's Chatfield waiting in the wings and Pueblo South. So we have really 2 games the rest of the season that we're looking at. Is the East Harrison game that's really going to have an impact on the playoffs, right, and then of course the South Ponderosa game, which going to be for the league title and for all the marbles. Those 2 teams are both going to get in the playoffs, but it's important to be at home,
right,
and win that league and finish high in the RPI, because once you go on the road, it's difficult. I mean, South's been a team that's been able to go on the road and be successful on the road in the playoffs. Ryan Goddard does a great job and his coaching staff does a great job. Some coaches actually like to go on the road better.
Fewer distractions.
But we have a couple weeks to see. 6-man and 8-man playoffs are going to start up here pretty quick too. So, we just have one more week of football, and then the playoffs begin, and really that's when the season begins.
Yeah, and the other team in Pueblo that football-wise we're talking about is Pueblo West. They went up to Pine Creek last week, played a great game, lost 21-14, but I thought certainly showed well, showed that they can compete and probably will be one of the better teams heading into the playoffs. Right. They're sitting at number 5 in the RPI now. If they can win out, they could potentially get a home game or 2 and make some noise as well.
Yeah, and it's just like at this time of year, everybody's struggling with some injuries. Devin Morgan, right, was out last week. They're still swapping their quarterbacks. They're still doing the onside kick stuff. But they're not going to change. They're going to do what they do, and they pound the ball, they run the ball, they throw the ball a little bit, and we'll see if Pueblo West is going to make some noise in the playoffs too. I look for West and South to really have strong showings in the playoffs.
I'd have to agree, Jeff. Like I said, football's 3 weeks left in the regular season. State softball this weekend. Volleyball regionals will be coming up in a couple weeks. State gymnastics is early November. So things are winding down, and before you know it, we'll be into basketball season. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Prep Rally. I'm Jeff Bersch.
I'm Jeff Letofsky. Have a great day.